All right, guys, if you're joining me, thank you. If you're watching this later on, thank you. We're going to be going over two things today. I'm going to try to keep this training brief within a half hour or so. The two things we're going to talk about is setting expectations, what are the proper expectations for you? And then the second thing that we're going to be talking about is making personal connections with customers. Okay. So I guess we'll start with, we're going to start with the setting expectations. So the reason why this is important, this is an important section to go through, is it's not focused on nearly at all. I mean, right when people are hired, we go through with them what we expect as a company, but there should be a gap between what we expect as a company and what you expect as an individual, and doing this job. There should be a gap there. So let me just kind of pull up this Word document quick, and we're going to get started. Okay. All right. So what should your expectations look like? Well, to me, there's kind of three ways to look at this. So let me kind of lay them out for you. Let's do it this way. We're going to insert a graph here, a table here. Okay. And we're going to title these and we're going to explain them. And, we're going to set an expectation as well. So let's do this. Okay. So the first expectation, the first basic expectation that we talked about is, or that we talk about is the company expectations, right? This is what we expect as a company, what our basic needs are as a company in order for you to be successful with us, right? And this goes for me too, so I shouldn't even say with us because this is a true company standard. What does the company expect me to do to make the company successful? Now for us, I mean, success can mean a couple of things. So let's kind of type this in here quick. So what is the definition of this? It's the standard. The standard the company creates to achieve success and to achieve success in a cost-effective manner. Okay. Now, what is that expectation? Okay, that expectation will be 2 leads per day, 10 leads per week, at least 5 demos per week. Okay, that is the minimum company standard. Now, here's the deal, and this is the reason why it's important to set your own expectations, because that's sort of the standard we've been working off of for the last few years. It doesn't mean that that's where we should be at. You gotta be reasonable with yourself. If the script is so much better than it was 10 years ago, 14 years ago when I started, and it is, if the system is so much better, if we know so much more, then why would we have the same expectation that we've had for a long time? So that's just a basic company expectation. Okay. So we'll say with this is that, like, you're safe if you're at this, but you're not super effective if you're at this. It's not going to give you the money that you probably want to make. Then I'd say we have our department expectations. Okay. Now, our department expectations would be the standard average we have found able to achieve, right? So this is a sort of the standard average that we found that we've been able to achieve. Okay. And this would be 3 leads per day, 15 leads per week, 7 demos per week. Okay, so this should be the minimum achievable goal, okay, or the average achievable goal rather. So if you are somewhere between this and this, then you're in a pretty comfortable place. Okay. When it comes to keeping your job, of course, but when it comes to succeeding at your job, all right, still might not meet the expectation that you have. Okay. The same expectation that you have. Okay. So then you're gonna have your needs. I guess we're gonna have 4 categories here. You're gonna have your needs. We'll call them the need expectations. And that would be the minimum if the need expectation be the minimum required for you to be comfortable in your life. All right, the minimum required for you to be comfortable in your life. Like, what do you need? Okay, now we can't decide this for you. What I'd say is that if it's somewhere between 2 to 4 per day, okay, which would be between 10 and 20 per week, which would be between 5 and 12 demos per week, then you should feel pretty comfortable doing this job, that you can obtain that. Okay. As your standard. Okay. And then you have your want expectations. Okay. And now your want expectations would be the desired goal based on your personal life, your savings, etc. Okay. So whatever you desire. All right. Now, this is a place where, again, like you could feel, here's in this job, you can work 40 hours a week, you can work more than 40 hours a week. You can definitely achieve between 3 and 5 minimum per day. If you set your standard at that, okay, that's between 15 and 25 leads per week. That will give you between, let's say minimum 7 if you have a terrible cancellation rate, and probably 16 demos per week. Okay, so if you set a desired goal like that, then you can be fine. You can do that and be fine. Okay. All right. Now, so we define these kinds of expectations because, again, they look at company expectations as like, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be able to keep your job. Okay. And I mean that in a light way. The department expectations, you might be happy, and you're going to be fine here. Your need expectations, you're not going to be happy, but you're going to be fine here. And your want expectations, you're going to be happy and you're going to be fine here. Okay. And what I mean by that is that, like, you're obtaining your personal goals, and those personal goals should easily fit our company goals and standards. Okay. Now, how do you reach that? What should that path look like? Okay. Insert another table here. All right. There's no time expectation for reaching these goals. Meaning that, like, if you take someone like Dylan, for example, this is a guy who is probably reaching his want expectations and beyond the company's desires well within his first month of being with the company. And there's plenty of other people that reach that as well. That being said, this has more to do with what you've shown that you can definitely do. Okay. What you've shown that you can definitely do. If you do me a favor, here you go. Can you get those iPads and put them somewhere safe, grab a box, put them in the box, and then take the just whatever, like, shit on the table and just throw it away. Okay. So you want to hit one action before you hit the other one, right? So you want to be able to get 2 leads before you get 4 leads. Okay. So this is the expectation I would set for myself. If I'm starting in this job, or if I've been here for a while and I'm sort of resetting, I want to do things the right way, and I'm kind of resetting myself, then this is the way that I'm going to lay out my roadmap. Okay. My first goal, okay, goal number 1 is going to be to reach the company standard. Okay. At all costs, I'm going to reach the company minimum. Okay. And then I'm going to make sure that lines up with my basic needs. Okay. So I need to reach the company, or I'll put it this way, reach the company minimum and reach your basic need minimum, because you can't. Okay. You want to reach those 2 minimum standards. Okay. That's your first goal. All right. And the reason why that's so important is because you have you know, you have to be able to survive. You have to be able to eat. You know what I'm saying? And that your goal, my guess is that your need expectation is going to be at least where the company's goal is, right? It should. Okay. But reach those 2 first. Okay. So you got to reach the 2 leads per day before you reach the 4 leads per day, is essentially what I'm saying. Okay. Now, goal 2, if I'm setting my goals in a job like this, okay, my second goal is going to be to reach between 3 and 4 leads per day. Now, the reason why I'm going to do that is because that is at average to slightly above average. Okay. 3 leads per day is about average. 4 leads per day is slightly above average. Okay. So that's going to be my second goal. All right. And then I'm going to make sure, of course, this falls in line with my basic needs. Okay. My basic needs. All right. And I would call this between, if I'm making a goal myself, between week 2 and 4. Okay. Week 2 and 4. All right. And that's a little bit arbitrary, but I mean, you want to get going quick. You want to be able to do well quick. You don't want to be waiting to do well, obviously, especially if it's desired for meeting your basic needs. But I would say you're being reasonable with yourself when you set a goal like that. You're telling yourself, okay, cool, this is something I can do. It's definitely achievable. There's no way that you can't achieve that. Okay. Now, goal number 3. Goal number 3 revolves around consistency. Be able to achieve goal 1 and 2 every week. Okay. So not that you won't miss a week or whatever, but you want to be able to achieve goal 1 and 2 every week. You got to meet the company standards. Okay. And then meet your own standards as well. All right. And then finally, goal 3. And I would say that level of consistency should be met within the same time frame, probably week 3 to 5. Okay. And then finally, your 4th goal, we'll call it pinnacle. It doesn't mean that you never grow from this. Okay. But all right. And that goal would be that you reach your want expectation. And that should be, by the way, too, I'd say within week 4 to 8. All right. And that would be to hit your want goal on a consistent basis. Okay. And so you're giving yourself time here. That's the thing. What a lot of people do is they expect to come in and write 6 leads per day, every day, right? Or they expect that they're going to be able to achieve every want that they have right away, right? That's just not always the way it's going to work. I wish it did, but you got to give yourself a reasonable time span. Here's what ends up happening. If you don't give yourself a reasonable time span, then you end up getting yourself in a position where you get stuck on a goal. You get stuck on a 2 lead per day goal. And then you feel miserable in your job because you're not achieving what you wanted to achieve, what you hope to achieve. So you got to have a growth path for yourself. Okay. Now, part of this is, what a lot of people struggle with is making personal connections. Now, here's the deal with the personal connections, guys. I'm going to tell you right now, they're very important. They're more important for you than they are for the customer. Okay. Okay. So, the questions that I get commonly asked, when I'm going through this stuff is where do I put the personal connections? Okay. There's no answer to that, guys. You gotta put it somewhere natural. Okay. You have to be able to converse naturally with the customer. You don't want to pre-plan personal connections. Okay. Now, what I try to do is, as I'm walking up to a house, I try to take stock of everything that I see. Of course, I'm looking at the window problems first. Okay, so you're going to look at window problems, but then look around and take stock of everything the customer is. Okay, so everything the person is as a human, you're going to see a lot of different stuff there. Okay, I'm going to do this way. I'm just going to bullet point this instead. It doesn't matter what you care about. It matters what the customer cares about. Because it doesn't matter what you care about, it matters what the customer cares about. Okay. So you got to look around at things, information, stuff like that you see, if it's a garden, if it's a Barbie doll collection, it doesn't matter. Whatever the customer has, you can gain interest in, okay, through them, right? Don't try to place personal connections in awkward places. Okay, no one likes a personal connections that's placed in an awkward place. You're not going to gain any customers that way. All right, I'm going to give you an example just so it makes sense. So if I knock on the door, good afternoon, my name is Paul Duffy. I hope you're Mr. Jones. Hi, Mr. Jones. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I noticed that you had that, blue Mustang out there. I love that car, by the way, too. That's so awesome. Where did you get it? Okay, it sounds fake. All right, it sounds fake. And there's a good chance that guy goes, I don't know, man, that's my kid's. I've had that happen. Well, yeah, that's my kid's car. I don't know. I actually hate that car. I mean, it's not, it's too loud. And now you're in a weird place with the customer, right? It's not a good connection to make. There's nothing tied to it. Not that, look, I've ran into car collectors and people that are very clearly trying to keep their car nice. And I've had great conversations with them about their car. I just haven't placed it so awkwardly. Okay. Knock, knock, knock. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Duffy. I hope you're Mr. Jones. Hi, Mr. Jones. I'm with Renewal by Andersen Windows. We just did some work for your neighbor, Mrs. Smith, on 123 Main Street. And I just wanted to let you know, by the way, too, I love the Steelers. The Steelers are great, aren't they? I'm guessing you're a Steelers fan. I'm guessing you're a Penn State fan. Yeah. We're in the middle of Pennsylvania, and yet, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, really? Come on. Right now, if you say something like, look, I noticed the flag, man. I want your take on this because I've been trying to get some information. How do you think Kenny Pickett's going to do this year? You think he's going to be a bust? Right? That's at least a specific conversation that you're having. You know what I'm saying? So you just, you don't want to place it in awkward positions. You can have the conversation whenever you want. Just don't try to force it in there. And here's the deal: is if you try to force it in there, especially when the customer has made it clear that they're not interested or something like that, it's just going to get awkward because it's not going to be successful. It's not going to make it better because you made a personal connection. So my suggestion would be, sure, try to place them somewhere in the beginning to get the value out of them, but just don't shoehorn it in. If it comes up, it comes up. If you're like, hey, look, sir, I had to ask you a question here. I noticed a garden. This is awesome. Okay. Then fine. Next, I'd say, ask the customer what they think. Right? It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you care about. I always give the example in training. I know Andrew gives an example similar now, where I would say, look, if I walk into a house and it's filled with Barbie dolls, right, just all over the walls, I'm not going to go, oh my goodness, I want to collect Barbie dolls now. I see all the Barbie dolls that you have here. No, but my question is going to be, wow, when did you start collecting this? Why did you start collecting? What's the most rare one that you've been able to have? Like those are going to be genuine. What's the oldest one, right? Those are genuine questions, right? Same thing about a car, right? I'm not interested in cars, but if I see the person has a car cover on a nice, car that I might ask them about. I might say, hey, I was wondering what was under that cover there. Looks awesome. That might be something that I do, but it's going to be genuine, whatever I say. You have to make it genuine. Okay. So be genuine in your interest. Okay. These connections, these connections can go a long way. And so when you go out to a customer's house, I think specifically about one customer that I had, a very simple thing. I had asked the lady about the flowers in her garden, and I said, are they annuals or perennial? Right, which means that one of them comes back every year, the other one doesn't come back every year. You got to plant them every year. And the lady told me, and I was like, well, that's great. They look great. I'm gonna have to get some of those. What are they called? Simple conversation. The lady was all over it. That was her thing. I had just hit that button with her. It allowed me to have as much time as I needed. We had a guy who worked at the Navy. He calls it the depot. I would call it a depot. I don't understand that. You ever see that, Andrew? Is that where? What do you call it? Well, what do you call it if you just saw that? Yeah. Right. So, this guy, I meet him, and he goes, oh, I work right over there. I used to work right over near your office. I used to work at the Navy depot. And I'm like, wow, tell me about that. I've wondered what was behind those. I've always wanted to drive through there, but I'm afraid to get shot, we just talked about it for a while, and it was a good hour-long conversation. Now, here's the problem: is that you get caught up in an hour-long conversation, you better get that lead, right? So don't drop the lead for the personal connection. And this is something that's very important. You see people do it all of the time. You can't sit there talking to a person about their job for an hour and not get the lead. So with this guy, he kept going on and on about his job, and I'm at the house with a couple guys. We're doing training, and we kept pulling them back in. Yeah, it's great to hear, sir. By the way, too, I don't want to take up much of your time. Window, Navy depot, right? And we kept getting distracted by the Navy depot conversation. But in the end, the biggest thing was, what did I say? How did I get out of that situation? I said, look, sir, you've been so kind to me today. I really appreciate all the time that you've given me. That being said, I don't want my boss to kill me. And if he comes by here and I'm still here, he's going to kill me. So I appreciate your time. It wasn't rude. I was nice to the guy. I blame my boss, which is kind of funny because I was running the department at the time. So the guy had no idea, right? You can get yourself out of these conversations just as quick as you got into them, but a lot of people miss the opportunity to get into them. The other thing is use them to make the lead better. You might see something You might see something and go, man, I really, really want to talk about that. And then you just kind of drop the ball on it. You don't think about it. It doesn't get there, but you go to set the lead. Don't be afraid to bring it up. We've been talking a lot about lead quality lately. And if at the end of that conversation, you can go, hey, sir, before I go, I noticed that antique right there. Where is that from? That's, oh, so you travel a lot then. Did you get that straight from Italy? Wow. How'd you get that back? It's huge. You know, whatever. You can have that conversation with the customer, no problem. You got to make sure you're focused on what you're doing and don't drop the ball. Don't let it go. Sorry, I need to snack on something while I'm doing this. Not very professional. Okay. Do you think there's anything I missed on personal connection?
No, the biggest thing I would tell people is, look, I think you already talked about it.
Yep. I'm going to put that down here in very clear terms. Don't fake it. It has to be genuine. And I've heard so many people say, oh, well, how? I'm not genuinely interested in X, Y, or Z. It doesn't matter what you're genuinely interested in at all. You're interested in the customer being interested. What's that?
Another thing that I tell people as well, because I noticed it helped me, because there's a lot of like younger individuals that get started with this job and they're concerned about like, well, I don't really know that much about X, Y, and Z. Read anything and everything. Come across a science article, read it. Pop culture, read it.
Yeah.
That way, at least no matter what the conversation is, you have something to ask.
So learning, Andrew said, no matter what, learn about things because that stuff can help you. And I 100% agree. I also think that you don't need to know that much about something to ask questions, right? So get used to asking questions. All right. I want to make this video short. I don't got much else to say about this, but I hope this is helpful a bit. Start by setting goals. The personal connections can definitely help you when you're out there on the road. And again, focus on lead quality. Thank you very much.